Welcome back to the Ross Bolin podcast, presented by Bolin Media. I am Ross Bolin, here with producer and co-host extraordinaire Kade Orris. Kade, how are your balls?
Not great. They hurt right now, but that's the thing about my balls, Ross. They always hurt. Should probably go and get that checked out, maybe. I don't know.
Yeah, what? Why are you smiling about it?
Oh, no, I'm just fucking with you. No, they're fine. My balls are fine.
Been watching much porn the last week?
No, not really. I kind of just, picture you taking me out back and spanking my thick, juicy ass, and that's all the material I need.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's enough for you, huh?
Yeah, that's all it takes.
Well, that's good, because many of you, depending on which state you're in, may already know that governments are taking steps to curb pornography access for minors. And in Texas, where Kade and I are located, just last week, a new age verification law went into effect, requiring porn sites to check visitors' ages to ensure they are at least 18 years old, and to display a health warning that porn impairs human brain development, that's something.
Yeah, that is the thing.
And
that happens.
I haven't actually looked at how the age verification works, but I assume you have to insert your driver's license number or something.
Yeah, well, back in the day, it'd just be click here if you're 18.
Yeah.
And that's all it took.
Right, even when you go to an alcohol website, it'll be are you 21 years old? And you just press yes, even if you're not, right? So yeah. Now, rather than comply, some porn sites like Pornhub have pulled their services to Texas entirely. Sad, very unfair, but in all seriousness, very, very good for the general populace, I would say. We're seeing more and more steps being taken to protect kids from porn, which anyone who grew up in my generation with unfettered access to the internet knows is probably for the best. And now we're seeing more and more steps to protect kids from social media as well. So here's our insane headline for today. Florida law bans social media for minors under 14. Florida, Texas and Florida making moves I can actually support. I did not see this coming, and I'm absolutely elated, Kade.
Who would have thought?
Seriously, though, it's wild. After a several-year run of just god-awful laws getting passed in both of these states, book burnings, abortion access restricted for women, finally, they're doing something I can actually agree with. From the Wall Street Journal, it says the legislation prohibits social media accounts for some teens regardless of parental consent. So Florida Governor Ron DeSantis signed legislation on Monday, which was yesterday as of recording, that prohibits people under 14 years of age from having social media accounts regardless of parental consent, one of the most restrictive laws aimed at curbing social media access for minors. Now, there have been, a number of studies and a significant amount of data that's come out over the past really decade that shows the damage that social media can do to mental health, what it's done to suicide rates, particularly with minors, and how much bullying takes place and how much, inappropriate material that kids get exposed to on social sites. So this is something that was probably going to happen at some point. I just wasn't aware that it was even on the table in Florida and that there's apparently laws in other states that are similar. But yeah, so to continue reading this article from Wall Street Journal, it says under the new law, social media companies are required to close accounts believed to be used by minors under 14. The platforms must also cancel accounts at the request of parents or minors, and all information from the accounts must be deleted. The law is set to take effect on January 1st of 2025, so next year. Minors who are 14 or 15 years old can obtain a social media account with parental consent, according to the new law. Accounts already belonging to teens of that age must be deleted if a parent or guardian hasn't consented. There's a quote from DeSantis that says, being buried in those devices all day is not the best way to grow up. It's not the best way to get a good education. And I could not agree more with Ron DeSantis, which is bonkers. The law doesn't name specific platforms, but targets social media sites that rely on features such as notification alerts and autoplay videos that encourage compulsive viewing, which in my experience is all of them. I'm not aware of a social platform that doesn't have notifications or one that doesn't have autoplay videos. Like on Instagram, when you're just scrolling, the videos just play.
Right.
You don't have to press play. They just play. And if you go to like the Discover feed in Instagram and you click on one and it plays, when it's done, it just takes you to another one. And it's just the design is literally to suck up as much of your time as possible. That is
to keep you on there.
That's the whole point.
Keep you engaged
right?
with it, yeah.
Which from a business perspective makes some degree of sense, but it's different than other content in the way that, like, when you come on the Ross Bolin podcast, you come listen. Our job, Kade and I, is obviously to keep you engaged, keep you listening. We want you to hear the whole episode, right? But you've chosen to listen to, or if you're on YouTube, watch this show. When you're on social, you're just getting served stuff based on the algorithm. It's not necessarily because you chose it specifically, because you can get exposed to all manner of random nonsense that you didn't necessarily want, which I'll get to in a minute. Now, I've been shitting on social media for years, having been engulfed in it for my entire 13-year professional career. This shit is evil, right? Overall, it is. It is also, unfortunately, the place we can most effectively market all of our shows, and I think that most effectively people can market any product in this day and age, but it is straight up evil for the most part. So it's also easier for me to say this when RBP has been shadow banned into oblivion on most of these social media platforms. But fuck social media. I will absolutely, as a parent, keep my kids off of it for as long as possible, simply because I know it too well. Like, I know what's happening on all of these apps, and they're all sneaky fucking evil, Kade. Like, right now, TikTok is facing this a ban, right? It's been happening for like over a year now. They've been trying to get TikTok banned.
Right.
It's already not allowed on devices within like Capitol grounds and stuff. Government workers can't have TikTok, that kind of thing, because they're scared of the Chinese, which... It's not that I disagree with the overall premise that having a social media platform that most Americans are on being potentially monitored by like the Chinese government is a bad thing. That is a bad thing. That's not. We don't want that. That's not a good thing. That's a very powerful tool in the hands of a country that is, by and large, not friendly with us, and you don't know what they're going to do with it. So, anyway, ironically, at this point, as a guy who's on at least Instagram, X, formerly known as Twitter, YouTube, and TikTok every single day of his life, Monday through Sunday, every fucking week, I can tell you, TikTok is the one where I get served the most positive and least toxic amount of content. It's bizarre. It's like, their algorithm, just being honest with my own perspective based on my experience here, their algorithm is the one that actually serves you shit that you are interested in.
Yeah.
So like on the Oysters, Clams, and Cockles TikTok account, for example, the only thing I ever get served is shit related to TV, movies, and entertainment. I'm not getting just random stuff that it's like, all right, now let's get him hooked on this. No, it doesn't really do that.
Well, sometimes, like if it wants to like show you something new, then it wants to see like if you engage with that, then it's going to show you
It'll
more.
test
but like
you.
a lot of it is stuff that you are already interested in.
The bulk majority of it, I would say, at least again in my experience. Whereas like on Instagram, it's just a fucking free for all. The algorithm on the gram sucks. Like, I'm just out here trying to be a good husband and father, and the gram is like, here, look at these bouncing titties, or check out Ice Spice twerking, or how about the latest update on Blueface and his baby mama? And it's just shit that I'm like, I don't know how it predict. I swear to God, if I like compliment my wife's breasts, because my phone can hear me,
right,
then Instagram is like, this guy needs more titties in his life.
Mm-hmm.
And then the Discover feed is just riddled with like horny shit. And I'm just like, no, this is not... For the same reason that like porn can be bad, that's not good. You don't want that necessarily. And even if you do, it's not good for you. Whatever that's doing to your brain cannot be positive. So like the algorithms on most of these sites, now Twitter, X, whatever, it got really, really bad when Elon Musk first took over. Like the Discover feed was like the most violent, disturbing, random shit. It was like shootings and like
also very political too.
People getting hit by cars. Yeah, just extreme political views. It got really, really weird there. It has gotten better I've noticed. Like they've definitely taken steps to curb the extreme shit, and like my For You feed on X is no longer just a cesspool of dog shit. But it's been, 6 months of me intentionally avoiding dog shit to get it that way. So maybe that's just my hard work and not theirs. I'm not really sure. But my point is that with all the focus on TikTok, like to me, as somebody who's, again, on all of these every day, Instagram is far and away the worst.
Yeah, I don't know what's up with your Discover page because mine is just like fucking like a bunch of superhero shit, a lot of music stuff, and like movies. Like you gotta figure out something with your
Dude, look,
Discover
look
page.
At this. It's like shoes, but then like there's just horny shit everywhere, bro. It's everywhere. It doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, I don't know what's up with yours. Mine's all right. Like it's not great.
But and here's when I scroll through it, I don't even think I have to click on this shit.
No, it just knows. It just sees your eyes.
That's if you put bouncing boobs in front of a straight man, his eyes are gonna go.
Yeah, it's gonna glance at least
that direction, right. At least momentarily. It can't be helped. It's biological, and it's manipulative, is what it is. Anyway, bigger point. Adults, we have all kinds of issues we have to deal with in the world, and it is what it is. But kids shouldn't have to deal with these same things. And getting it, like when I was young online and there were no rules, it was bad. It was bad. As I've talked about on the show before, I got into all kinds of weird spaces on the internet when I was like 14, 15 years old, when the internet first exploded. First of all, everybody I knew, every dude I knew that had Napster, or LimeWire, before you went to school every day, you would just, and this was usually on the family computer,
right? Yeah.
You would just load up your LimeWire with like 30 porn downloads.
Oh, okay.
And then you'd leave, and then you'd come home and hope that like one or two of them had actually downloaded all the way, and there was nothing to stop that from happening.
Huh.
And
see, I just used LimeWire for like illegal music.
Yeah, but you were like 7.
True, yeah.
If you were a teen at that point, it was ugly in there, I promise you. Also, things like AOL chat, even before LimeWire and shit. As I've talked about on the show before, I would go into the lesbian chat rooms and pretend to be a lesbian and have cyber sex with probably other small teen boys pretending to be lesbians, which is not good.
Just two dudes pretending to be lesbians.
Absolutely, 100%. There's no way in hell that it was actually a bunch of lesbians. But anyway, the internet is one of these things that's like I was talking to Dan, the ad salesman, earlier in the Bolin Media office about how, like, by and large, I'm a person who believes that people should be left alone to do what they want to do. That human beings should take personal responsibility of their lives and make good decisions. But in the age that we're in now, with the internet and all the social media and all the bullshit that goes on in the world, in my experience, again, having worked exclusively online in the online entertainment space for 13 years now, I don't want to say most people, but a large amount of people, a lot of people are not really capable of making decisions that are best for themselves. Especially with the internet, where it's like, it almost feels like this loophole where you're just like, I can do whatever on here. Nobody's ever going to know, which we know is also not true. But like people don't make good choices, man. And if you can, especially children, especially young people, and if you can restrict access in a way that positively benefits the overall population, then you should. And so some of these states like Florida going and doing that is awesome, in my opinion. And obviously, I don't know how you could argue against the porn thing. Like, why would you not have age verification on porn websites?
Yeah, well, for Texas, I actually did check it out a couple of weeks ago, and
just for research.
Yeah, research purpose only. You can't I can't even go on there because they're like,
it depends on which site you're on. Like Pornhub, they shut down their whole shit.
Well, yeah, all the major ones are you can't even go on here.
Yeah.
Just
gives you a weird message about the law.
Yeah, it says there's not a good way to verify people's ages without I think having to give them all your information. Which why would you want to give all your information to a porn site? I know
if you want to watch porn,
yeah,
that's the exchange.
I guess, yeah, but Yeah, I guess it'll be interesting to see what they do with that. But like, also, like, how am I gonna be able to watch all my stepmom and stepsister and stepdaughter and step aunt and step grandma porn? Like, where am I gonna get that now?
That's why this needs to exist.
Yeah,
Specifically.
for that. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
It's got to stop. It's got to stop. Enough is enough. And I mean, like, the more research that's gone into like what viewing pornography does to your brain, what like I don't think you could possibly find anything that says it's good for adults. So what the fuck? Who even knows how badly that's damaging children? And you know, somebody's got to step up and do the right thing. And it's rare that our government actually does that. And in this case, they actually are. You wish they would do something about, like, you know, gun control.
Sure, yeah.
But this is nice.
At least they're doing something.
This is nice.
Yeah.
You know, saving the kids from the evils of social media, from Zuckerberg and his evil titty bouncing, blue face, twerking Ice Spice algorithms, and restricting porn use to adults. That's huge.
How old were you when you had your first, like, social media account? Like, was it like MySpace or something like that?
Oh, it was when Facebook became. So Facebook started out, it was like only college students, right? It started at wherever he was, Harvard, and then expanded to all the Ivy League schools, and then expanded from there. But you had to be a college student with a college email address, .edu, to get a Facebook account. And then it became available to high schoolers when I was in high school. So I got it like, I want to say like junior year, sophomore year, junior year. So whenever Facebook made that leap beyond colleges, that was my first social media account. But
you didn't do MySpace?
I had a MySpace, but I wasn't a MySpace person.
Yeah.
Like, I remember like making one of these. I felt like it was like more for like emo kids and
Okay.
yeah, when it
Sure.
started, the vibe was, it was not like mainstream. It was like a little alternative. So it wasn't for me.
Gotcha.
Really. I knew a lot of people who went hard on MySpace though. But that was a weird place.
Yeah, that was before my time.
It was a weird place, man. But Facebook, when it started out, was like pure.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I
Connect with your friends.
Yeah, I had Facebook when I was like 12 or 13, I think.
Yeah, see, that's
crazy. When I started, yeah. But again, like, there wasn't like anything like terrible like on there like at that point yet. Or at least I didn't like know.
It was pretty
about
simple at that
Yeah.
point compared to now,
Right.
where it's kind of just like everywhere else. Like, when I get on Facebook, which I do occasionally at this point, because a lot of my age group they don't post anything on Instagram. Nobody posts.
Mm-hmm.
But they do post shit on Facebook. So if I want to keep up with people, their families, their kids, Facebook is where I go to check that shit out. So like every once in a while, I'll be like, I wonder what this person from college is up to. They don't have a fucking Instagram. I have to go to Facebook. So I'm on there more often now than I have been ever. Like, really, since I was maybe in my early 20s, maybe even earlier than that. But my feed is just random bullshit. You know what I get a lot of on Facebook? It's just Tesla news.
You like follow them or something, or is it
I
just
think I
like,
joined a group at one point, like Model 3 owners.
just a Facebook group of people that own that same car?
Yeah. And
Nice.
then now it just is like, it's just riddled with Tesla news. And then a lot of the bullshit that I get on Instagram, minus the titties. So it'll be like blue face updates in my Facebook feed, but nothing that's actually like of any relevance to anyone I actually know.
You just gotta like mute the word blueface.
At this point,
you gotta.
Something has to be
You
done.
just gotta block every account that posts.
Can't
stuff
even
about
name a single one of his songs. I know way too much about his personal life, and I don't know why.
him. Yeah. It's fucked.
Well, it's less fucked now, though.
I guess. Yeah. No, we're moving in the right direction.
We got to stay on this path. Censoring the internet. Which is another thing that's strange about the Florida situation. Like, if you follow the Twitter saga of Elon Musk, who's by and large considered to be like a right-wing guy, he's completely anti-censorship. He wants as little censorship on the internet as possible. He believes that like censorship online is anti-free speech. So I don't know what he thinks about this particular situation with Florida and them banning social media for minors, but I have to imagine he's not stoked on it because he owns a social media site.
Yeah, he wants as many users as possible.
Anyway, it's obviously a very Republican state, Florida, that's doing this. So it's going to be a fascinating thing to follow. Also, Florida does anticipate being sued by every single one of these social media companies, but they believe that they will be able to win and get this law instituted January 1st, 2025. So just something to keep an eye on, something I'm fascinated by. And, as much joking as we do in here, I really don't think kids should be on any social media platform. And if it was up to me, I'd say like 18.
Damn, okay.
You need to be a fucking adult.
Yeah.
These places are riddled with adult content. How the fuck are you going to be a kid on there and know left from right? I don't see it. I wouldn't want it for my kids. And now that I have them, I can say that confidently. I hope my kids never have social media. I think that's the world I would like my children to live in, but it's never going to fucking happen.
Not going to give them the iPads and
they own everything.
Let them go crazy on there?
No, 5-year-old's got an iPad, but it's like restricted to hell. Like you can't get shit.
Yeah, until she figures out how to bypass it.
Yeah, but that'll be years from now.
Oh, kids are smart.
By then I'll have strapped a bomb to the iPad and thrown it into the woods.
Don't just need to throw it in the woods. You need to attach a bomb to it too, just for safe
she
measure.
Could find it in the woods.
Yeah,
it'd still work. Anyway, moving on. When I was younger, I dressed like an absolute bum. Looked like a total doofus at almost all times, especially at formal events when I had to wear a suit. I had no idea how to buy a good suit, how to use a tailor, find a tailor, how to do anything. I was ignorant. But now I know where to go when I want to look my best. Indochino. Today's episode is brought to you by Indochino. It's time to start your style redemption story and look great at your next big event. Upgrade that off-the-rack suit sitting in your closet with a fully customized, perfect fit suit from Indochino. Measure yourself in 10 minutes or visit a showroom. Wear your new look right out of the box and keep your budget unbusted with custom suits starting at just $3.99. I can tell you personally, the Indochino experience is incredible, whether you go to one of their showrooms and get measured up or you do it from home and order online. I've done both now. Went to the Indochino in Austin my first time, but for my most recent order, measured myself at home, shopped strictly online. The end result is still the best custom clothing experience I've ever had. If you need a suit, if you need a jacket, if you need a shirt, if you need pants, Indochino has them, and they're made just for you. Just last week, I was looking for some nice pants that are a little more colorful than what I currently have in my wardrobe, so I grabbed myself a pair of Indochino's Halton Rose Chinos. Customize my buttons and side pockets, and they actually shipped yesterday, so I should have them soon. Very stoked to get those and show them off. Dress better than the other guys with Indochino. Go to Indochino.com and use code RBP to get 10% off any purchase of $3.99 or more. That's 10% off at INDOCHINO. Indochino.com, code RBP, details of this deal, and link in the description below this episode. So I saw a story that is not a news story necessarily, but it's one that like gets cycled through my algorithm every 6 months or so.
Along with the blue face and Ice Spice,
yeah. It's about Walter and Skylar White's house. You know, from Breaking Bad. Did you watch Breaking Bad, Kade?
Yeah, I rewatched it.
Oh, recently. Yeah. Stressful.
A few months ago. Yeah.
Stressful. Really stressful stuff. But I can't stop thinking about this story. So the house from the show, the White residence, which is located at 308 Negra Arroyo Lane, served as the home, it says, of the White family during the hit show Breaking Bad, housing Walter, his wife Skylar, one of the most hated television characters of all time, their son Walt Jr., breakfast aficionado, and their infant daughter, Holly, who played almost no part in the show whatsoever. Now, since the show first aired in 2008, it says the house has become a major attraction for Breaking Bad fans. Now, this is a thing. It's a thing with, like, the Sopranos house, for example, which, to my understanding, is actually available to, like, rent for events and such. Like, I follow this one, like, Sopranos influencer who rented out the house. I believe it was for a Halloween party or something last year. And he invited people, or you had to buy tickets maybe is what it was, and you had to dress up as like a Sopranos character and show up and I assume get drunk. But anyway, what? Yeah,
no, it's probably like a lot like gabagool and pasta there.
Yeah. Fully themed out. Like he did a great job. But the same thing has happened with this Breaking Bad house, except I kind of just assumed it was a set. Right, like, or maybe they use the outside of the house for
it's like
visuals,
establishing shot.
But yeah, establishing shot. But then I assumed it was like all a set, and maybe that's not the case. Either way, the house that they used, even if it was just an establishing shot, people actually live in it. Their names Francis and Luis Padilla have resided in this house since 1973. It says in 2017, Joanne Quintana, the homeowner's daughter, revealed to a news station in Albuquerque the challenges they faced, including dealing with hundreds of daily visitors who came to take photographs, reenact scenes from the show, and even throw pizzas on the roof. You know the famous scene where Walter flings that pizza and lands perfectly on the roof, which, by the way, was, I think that was one take, and it's like a very famous TV shot for that reason. It just landed perfectly like that or whatever. It says the situation escalated to the point where in 2017, the homeowners erected a 6-foot iron fence to deter visitors. So the show ended when?
I want to say definitely before 2017.
Yeah, 2013. September 29th, 2013 was the air date of the final episode of the show. So they made it 4 years past the finale before they were like, fuck this. And they had to build a full-blown 6-foot iron fence all the way around the house to deter visitors. So now people just drive by, but at least they don't like walk onto the property, throw pizza on the roof, whatever. The story also says, despite rumors of rudeness, Breaking Bad's creator Vince Gilligan insists that the homeowners are actually quite pleasant, only resorting to rudeness when provoked.
Yeah, imagine having a bunch of pizzas thrown on your roof. It'll
get you.
Yeah, it'll piss you off a little bit.
Yeah.
After a while, yeah.
Yeah, after years and years and years of this. As of 2024, you can still look this up. Like if you just type in like Breaking Bad house on Google, there's like
we did just share the address with everyone, so if they want to go check it out for themselves.
Well, there's like a Reddit thread of like people documenting their experiences, and like people are still driving by this fucking thing, still visiting it, and those people, as far as I know, still live there, which is bonkers. Maybe the house has like sentimental value or whatever. I understand that like some people have houses that get passed down through their family through generations or whatever. They don't want to leave. But at a certain point, well, first of all, if you felt that way, you probably shouldn't have let them use the house for the show.
Well, maybe they didn't think it was going to be as
Still
popular.
Fucked up. Still made a mistake. It became that popular. There's always an off chance that whatever, TV show might explode. You don't know. They fucked up when they made that decision if they didn't plan on leaving. Because at this point, it's at the point where you're being regularly harassed. Hundreds of visitors on a daily basis. Like that's ruining your life. That's changed your whole life. Now this is a fucking problem you have to deal with constantly. Dude, sell the house to a superfan. You could probably get like triple the value from some psychotic Breaking Bad fan.
Penny off of that for sure.
Get the fuck out of there. Turn it into a goddamn museum or whatever. Maybe they have an HOA that doesn't allow them to or something, but they were able to build this big ugly ass fence outside.
Or just like rent it, like have people rent it out. Like
turn it into an Airbnb.
Yeah.
Charge a fucking fortune. Do something. But you got to get out of there. You can't stay there.
Yeah, no, that sounds miserable.
Like Vince Gilligan should have to buy it. The creator of Breaking Bad. Or like, fucking
Bryan Cranston and Aaron Paul.
Yeah, they could buy it and turn it into a whole tequila marketing situation for them.
There you go.
But goddamn, I cannot believe these people just stayed in the house. We're like, we refuse to leave. It's like every day they were waking up and they could hear Breaking Bad like quotes being yelled outside their window, and they were like, eventually it's going to die down. Surely, eventually it will stop. And every day they kept telling themselves that it's going to stop soon. The pizzas will stop soon. The yelling will stop soon. And it just never did.
Nope, 11 years later, still going strong.
And they built the fence, and they're still getting fucking harassed. And I can't believe they're still there. It blew my mind. It blew my mind to see that this is still a thing that's popping up regularly.
Yeah, and this is something I see like every so often, like you said, like it always like cycles through like the news stories, I feel like every so often.
Yeah. Gets back in the content stream.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, people do this with like the Home Alone house.
Right, yeah, that's another really big one.
Dan the ad salesman has driven by it before.
Oh, yeah, because it's in Chicago.
Chicagoland area, yeah. But yeah, man, that fucking family, you got to get out of there. Don't do this to yourselves. And there's money to be had here. Just go. Build yourself a Breaking Bad proof house. The opposite of this one. My God. Moving on. In sports news, March Madness started on Thursday of last week, and it's been a decent tournament so far. Very chalky. Lots of chalk, making Biden look like a genius with his chalky-ass bracket, and me, I guess, since I'm standalone first place in my bracket contest that I'm in. But a decent tournament so far, I would say, Kade. I don't know how much of it you've watched. I've watched a lot.
It's been on, but I haven't really been paying too much attention.
You don't have a bracket this year.
No bracket.
You're not betting on it.
No. It's just on at the bars that I go to, so
Ohio State's not in it.
No, they are doing well in the NIT though. They made it to the third round now, so I got that going for us.
Yeah, that's great. Everybody watches the NIT.
Right.
I did pretty well the first 4 days of March Madness, betting-wise. I hit a nice 4-game parlay, which really is the entire reason I'm doing well. It saved my ass. But I had winning days on Thursday, Friday as well, because I hit that parlay. It was basically even on Saturday, and then I got my dick ripped off and thrown at me on Sunday, which, frankly, I always expect at least one of these days the first weekend of March Madness. I mean, for one, because I don't watch college basketball, so I don't know what I'm doing. It's just pure luck.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just going totally off of feel, which is not a good strategy for betting on sport or really
not
doing
betting wise. No,
it's not a good idea. So I always expect to have at least one day that's just a brutal beating, and that day came for me on Sunday, where I think I went 2-6 or something. Just every game I was watching, I was like, oh God, I'm on the wrong side of this. But now, what is it, Tuesday? I'm going through the tournament withdrawals, like everyone else who goes all out for March Madness. This happens to me every year, where the round 2 ends, and then there's that break before the Sweet 16 starts. This little dead period after the first weekend ends, and it absolutely sucks because you've got Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday with no games. I guess there are some women's games on. There were yesterday anyway. So maybe I need to get into that.
Yeah, I actually know more about women's college basketball than men's this year. It seems
that's a lot of people, yeah, because of Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese and
Paige Buchers, whatever, the UConn chick.
They have actual stars.
Yeah, I can't name a single men's basketball player besides Zach Edey, and that's because he's been at Purdue for 6 years now. The really tall dude.
Looks like an ogre?
Yeah, a little bit, yeah.
Yep.
That's the only one I
Everybody
can
knows
think
that
of.
guy.
Yep.
Has he been there for 6 fucking years?
I don't
Why
know,
is he the most...
It seems like he has. It's just because I think he started as a freshman, and he's playing every single year. So
and they've gone on deep runs, right?
No, they've actually notoriously got upset in the first round last year, I think.
Oh, really?
Yeah, they always get out pretty early.
They're choking often?
Yeah.
Early and often?
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I know that guy's face. Everybody knows him. No,
yeah,
for whatever
that's
reason,
about it.
Women's basketball definitely has more recognizable stars this year than men's.
Yeah. I don't know why that is, but it's good for the women's game,
Let's go,
keep growing
girls.
it. Yeah.
Huge. Girl power. But yeah, it's when March Madness starts, especially the last few years, because I have not been watching nearly as much basketball as I normally do. I never watch regular season college basketball, but I've usually watched a ton of NBA by the point March Madness comes around. I haven't watched as much because the Rockets stink the last few years, not this year. And March Madness comes on, and I get so used to watching basketball all day, every day, for 3-4 straight days, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and then all of a sudden it's gone. And it's gone. And it's really tough. I'm going through a hard time right now.
Yeah, there's not much else on right now.
Yeah, well, thankfully the Rockets have been crushing. They've won 9 in a row, 11 of their last 12, and they sit just a half game back of the Warriors to actually make the play-in tournament. So for the first time in over 3 years, I can fully pay attention to the Rockets without becoming depressed, and it's amazing, honestly. But they play at night. There's not games all day like with college basketball. It's it's been so nice to be able to watch meaningful basketball all day those 4 first days. And then it's kind of gone, and it never gets back to that spot because there's way less games in the Sweet 16 and the Elite 8 and the Final Four.
No, you'll
right?
have 4 games on at noon, and for this week it'll be one at noon, one at 3, one
at 6, one at 9, and they're staggered. Yeah, it's not quite the same. It's not the same chaos. I definitely at some point, I guess when my kids are a little older, I want to go to Vegas. I want to do round 1 in Vegas and experience that because I've heard it's just absolute chaos, beautiful chaos. But yeah, so we gotten past the best part of March Madness, and now we're into just the Sweet 16 in this dead space. But so until it continues, Kade, we're back to watching Pat McAfee all day, every day at the Bowling Media Content House. I'm
Hell
sorry.
yeah.
I apologize.
Good stuff.
You love the program.
Love me some Pat.
Today's episode is also brought to you by Shopify. Chappelle and Neil, Key and Peele, Faye and Polar, Setup and Punchline. So what about the perfect duo when it comes to growing your business? That's you and Shopify. Shopify is the global commerce platform that helps you sell at every stage of your business, from the launch your online shop stage to the first real-life store stage, all the way to the did we just hit 1 million orders stage. Shopify is there to help you grow, whether you're selling merchandise for your podcast or making handmade kaleidoscopes. Shopify simplifies selling online and in person so you can focus on successfully growing your business. Shopify helps you turn browsers into buyers with the internet's best converting checkout, up to 36% better compared to other leading commerce platforms, and sell more with less effort thanks to Shopify Magic, your AI-powered all-star. Selling merchandise for our podcast here at Bowling Media, it's a nice little supplemental revenue source for us, allowing us to provide our biggest fans and supporters with shirts and hats and coffee mugs that they can wear and use in real life to show their support for our shows here. And Shopify can be the platform that enables you to connect with all your supporters in the same way. I've used Shopify extensively. It is amazing. It's very easy. Shopify powers 10% of all e-commerce in the U.S., and Shopify is the global force behind Allbirds, Rothy's, and Brooklinen, and millions of other entrepreneurs of every size across 175 countries. Plus, Shopify's extensive help resources are there to help you and support your success every step of the way, because businesses that grow with Shopify. Sign up for a $1 per month trial period at shopify.com/RBP, all lowercase. Go to shopify.com/RBP now to grow your business no matter what stage you're in. That's shopify.com/RBP. Again, remember, all lowercase. Link and details for that in the description of this episode as well. All right, let's close out on as dark and disturbing a note as possible.
Sure.
Kade, you watched the new documentary, Quiet on the Set, The Dark Side of Kids TV, correct?
That is correct, yes.
And now, I've seen some of the headlines around this. It's my understanding that it's mostly related to Nickelodeon.
Yes, solely focused on Nickelodeon, like the shows running from the 90s up until like the mid to late 2000s.
So the stuff I grew up on.
Okay, yeah, I was about to ask you, like, I know you're really old, but like, did you like watch Nickelodeon like growing up as a kid at all? Was it like a big
dude,
thing?
I was massively into Nickelodeon.
Okay.
So like Rugrats and Doug were probably my favorites.
Yep.
I watched a silly amount of those, but Hey Arnold as well, a lot of Cat Dog.
Okay.
Legends of the Hidden Temple, Are You Afraid of the Dark? I mean, I was deep into Nickelodeon. And then honestly, even Nick at Night.
Oh yeah, Nick at Night
had all
was
the
great.
throwbacks on it.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
I Love Lucy. Like I don't know how I was understanding
George
any
Lopez.
of the comedy, but yeah, I didn't watch any of George Lopez. I fucking hate George Lopez.
You weren't a fan of
Well, George Lopez was on regular cable
Oh, okay, yeah.
when I was growing up, and then when you were growing up,
then they moved him
over
to Nick at Night.
'cause-
Same with like Home Improvement. That was another one.
That was
I watched
on
a lot.
Nick at Night?
Yeah.
Yeah, see, there's a decade of difference between us.
Yeah.
Keenan and Kel I watched, like, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah, basically this documentary kind of like, not so much like the cartoons, but like more like their live shows.
The ones that had actual people on them.
Actual like child actors. Yeah. It's, it basically like uncovers like the like toxic work culture that went on like behind the scenes at like these shows, especially with the child actors.
And there's like one guy specifically.
Yeah, Dan Schneider, like the kind of like the mastermind behind like all these iconic shows, like All That, the Amanda Bynes Show, Drake and Josh, iCarly, and like a few others like throughout those years. And yeah, it kind of turns out that Dan Schneider was a huge piece of shit, kind of not a great guy.
Man.
Yeah, a lot of like a lot of the things they focus on is like just like how they I don't know, just like the amount of stuff they put these like kids through, and it's like a lot of like sexual jokes like sprinkled throughout these shows that like as kids like on the show they didn't
Really know what they were
understand.
saying even, yeah.
Yeah, and then like as kids watching, like you had no idea really, but like all the adults would like pick up on it. There's like they even do like a compilation like throughout the this series, and it's just like there's really like cum shot jokes. Like it's so fucked up.
Just sprinkled into the Nickelodeon shows?
Yeah. And like again, like you don't even.
I'm sorry, I didn't quite catch.
Sorry, Siri.
Dude, mine lit up too. What did we say that Siri? If we say cum shot, does Siri come alive? Not that time.
Not that time.
That was weird though. Both
That
of our
was
series
weird.
went off.
But yeah, it's very dark, and like they get all these like former stars of the show. It was, like it started off with all that, like their original run, just like talking about like the things they had to do in order to like I don't know, like get on the show, and the stuff they were put through like while they're on the show, and like it's such like a big opportunity for some of these kids, like being on like a big network like Nickelodeon, like they don't want to lose that opportunity, so
Right.
they're kind of like putting themselves through like
It's kind of
really,
like the situation with like Harvey Weinstein, right? He was like one of the biggest producers in Hollywood. So
Yeah.
These women that he ended up abusing, they didn't want to blow their shot.
yeah, and they didn't want to like tell someone because like,
He's so powerful that he could destroy your career.
you could never work again. Like it was literally like that's like the power that Dan Schneider had too.
But over children.
Over children, and like they do talk to like some like the adults that like were like some of the writers, like they also like there's like sexual like misconduct, and like he was like like making like a bunch of remarks to them as well, and like again like they felt like they couldn't like say anything about it because it's like such a great opportunity to work here, and like they thought if they said anything like they
People
could never
won't believe me. I'll get in trouble. Yeah.
So yeah, it's just like very eye-opening because like I grew up watching all these shows, and like to like now like find out like all this like terrible shit went on behind the scenes. Like they even like there's one episode like I don't want to get into like too much spoilers, but like there's episodes.
Well, I don't
like,
think it counts as spoilers in this case because it's just documenting something that happened.
but like there are like actual pedophiles that like worked on the set and were in these shows with these kids.
What the fuck?
That like again like no one knew. Like there's one worker that like they like really told this dude like someone on one of the shows got like sexually assaulted, and he's like, what, on our shows? Like he like had no idea. And
it sounds like one of the guys was like a dialogue coach.
Yeah, it was like like an acting coach or something. And like another one was like just like a production assistant or something like that. And then like I guess like the main focus was like about that child actor that like got sexually assaulted and ended up being Drake Bell, who from Drake and Josh, and he's also on the Amanda Bynes show, and maybe all that at some point.
So one of their like biggest actors.
Yeah.
During that period anyway. So that was like right after like Drake and Josh was when I was getting a little older.
Yeah.
And like was phasing out of Nickelodeon, like moving on to like MTV.
Right.
Which was way healthier.
Of course.
Spring Break. But yeah, dude, we don't have to talk about this right now, but just as an aside, I don't know if it existed for you, but like Spring Break on MTV was such an absurd thing that when you were a kid and like it was like showcasing like college spring break.
Right, yeah.
So when you're in high school and you don't really have like you have spring break, sure. But it's just like you and your boys running around the neighborhood. You don't go to like fucking Cancun and do cocaine off of, somebody's ass. But the MTV spring break experience, it was like the early iteration of the Ice Spice twerking videos. It was just in your fucking face all day. Mm-hmm. It was wild. Anyway, back to this documentary.
Yeah, I do I remember that like a little bit, but I think they were kind of like toning it down at that point where I like was tuning in. But yeah, there's actually the one part was like so fucked, but also like kind of funny in like a fucked up way. But like one of the dudes that ended up being a pedophile, he was like having like all the kids over and their parents over for like a party or something.
Like at his house?
Yeah. And again, this before like any of them knew like what was going on. And one of the kids sees like a painting of a clown, and he asks the guy like, "Yo, like what is this?" And he says, "Oh, it's like a portrait of John Wayne Gacy that John Wayne Gacy like made."
He bought one of the John Wayne Gacy clown paintings?
Yeah. And then he ended up saying,
That's usually a red flag.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? Like, oh yeah, we're like pen pals too. And he told this
What
to
the fuck?
all the parents too, and they just like, oh, that's cool. I guess that's pretty neat. Like,
How eccentric.
yeah, like not
Oh
like
my
a red
God,
flag
dude.
went
That's
off.
a
for
huge fucking red flag. That's crazy. Yeah, John Wayne Gacy, obviously a notorious serial killer.
Yeah.
He also I don't want to say served. He had a job as a clown at children's parties.
Yeah.
And then he painted himself as that clown, which I can't remember the name of. I'll look it up. He painted himself as the clown, and like those paintings have been sold a lot
Yeah.
to freak shows like that guy.
Yeah. Yeah. But man, it was just like so fucked up. hearing
Pogo
about
the clown.
Pogo.
Yeah.
Yeah. And there's just like a lot more scenes where like it's just like holy fuck, like how was this like allowed to go on? And like again, it's like the adults on set like didn't want to say anything or like didn't think anything of it because I don't know, they just wanted to keep their jobs.
Well, that's part of it. It's like
Yeah.
it's a lot of these people were experiencing pretty big success. It's like Nickelodeon was a huge, huge deal, man. It was far and away the biggest producer of children's entertainment in the fucking world.
Yeah.
So to risk your job, I mean, it's selfish, obviously, not good to not say anything. Or I think there's like a level of it's like denial.
Yeah.
Like you don't want to admit. I feel like something weird's going on here because if what if you're wrong?
Right.
Right. That too.
Yeah, and like Drake Bell said, like he was like one of the few people that knew like something weird was going on, and he like tried to like say something about it, but like no one was really listening to him, which is really fucked. And like another thing is like just like all the child stars they interviewed after the fact, they're like, yeah, no, this like scarred me. Like like a lot of them, like you see it to this day, like on Nickelodeon and Disney, like the child actors, like they're like so fucked up after
They have issues. Yeah.
yeah, a lot of mental health issues like drinking and smoking, like drug abuse and all that. And it's because of like how they were treated on these sets, and it's just it's fucked up seeing it. Like it paints like a very negative light on a program that like I really enjoyed watching when I was growing up, and it just
Damn.
sucks.
This is a perfect example of a documentary that I would like to know about, and the knowledge like of what occurred. Like read some articles, listen to Kade talk about it for a bit. No way I'm watching it. There's just no. I'm not.
Yeah,
Because I think you said it was 4 parts.
it's 4 parts, and then I just saw today that it sounds like they're doing a 5th part. It's called Breaking the Silence. So I don't know who. Like it sounds like they're gonna get another big person.
Somebody's
like,
going to come forward like
yeah.
the way that.
Like I don't know if it's gonna be like Amanda Bynes or something, because she she was actually like Dan Schneider's like prodigy, like almost like he thought she was
Jesus.
like the one that was gonna take him like to like the next step in his career. And
So
like
people
she,
suspect Amanda Bynes might be the next person to come. Like,
I'm just saying that like because that'd be like the biggest one that I could think of. That like was there like during when all this stuff happened.
But it's your guess somebody's going to come out on this one like Drake Bell did in the
Yeah.
first 3 parts.
Mm-hmm.
Great.
Yeah. So.
I mean, seriously great, but also like I'm not watching this.
Yeah.
That's too dark. Dude.
Yeah, I watched it just because I was like, again, like I grew up watching Nickelodeon. I'm like, okay, I kind of want to hear like what actually like went down, even though I knew it was gonna like ruin it for me. So yeah, maybe don't watch it if you like don't want it ruined for you. But like, I think it's like,
Well, it's ruined anyway. It's like that's the thing. I think it's important to know stuff like this. I'm saying watching a documentary is a different thing than just knowing.
yeah,
Watching the documentary is like that in and of itself can be kind of traumatizing to think about. All these things that were going on in this program that you watched like hours and hours and hours of your childhood.
mm-hmm. Yeah, and just like I said, like one the ended up like guys said being a pedophile, like they were on the show, like a reoccurring character and stuff.
Fuck.
And it's just so weird, like because at the time, like I remember seeing that guy
On Drake and Josh?
not Drake and Josh. Well, this was like he wanted to be like the dad of that show. And this is like after like the stuff with Drake happened, and like obviously it was like fuck no, like absolutely not. But no, he's like on the Amanda Bynes show and all that, I think. And just you just like pop up randomly. Also, like another thing they showed was like they had celebrities like I think like Jerry Seinfeld was on one of them, and Kobe Bryant, and like they were also interacting with this dude.
What the hell?
So yeah,
Crazy.
it is wild to like see that person like, oh wow, you had no idea. It's it's pretty messed up.
Damn.
Yeah. So
Yeah, that's it. I mean, it's like I was thinking about this the other day. I can't remember what got me on this train of thought, but it's kind of a wild decision for a parent to like put their kid in a position like that. First of all, just to deal with fame that young seems it's a lot.
mm-hmm.
Like if you're gonna go that route, you better also have like a ton of support for them. They should probably be in therapy, like just preventatively or like proactively or whatever, because that's such a fucking like I don't know if I would like if somebody came to my door and was like, your son is the next baby star. We're gonna put him on the TV and give you $1 billion. I would probably be like, go fuck yourself. Like especially now with Hollywood's reputation being what it is, like it's and us having as much evidence as we do of what happens to young people who are exposed to that industry. Like, bro, fuck no. Like that's crazy. And people always give child stars a hard time. Oh, all these child stars are all fucked up. Yeah. Because the adults that were in charge of them were abusing them in a lot of cases, or like at the very least mistreating them, right? So like, it's fuck that.
Yeah, and like, what they did at Nickelodeon, they kind of like created like a little Hollywood for like just like the child stars, because like
Which is so creepy to think about.
Yeah, because like like I grew up like I knew like all those child actors, and I was like, oh my god, they're so cool. Like
those were our celebrities.
Yeah.
And
so it's
see that didn't really exist for me. Y'all's generation was like the first one. This because my little brother's 5 years younger than me, and I noticed this with him. Like he watched shows on Nickelodeon that had actual fucking people in them.
Right.
I watched shows on Nickelodeon that were animated.
Yeah, or like
I thought it was weird when all of a sudden there were shows that were like, where all these child stars were born. Disney did the same thing.
Yeah, Disney's like another one. Like I imagine like they might have a documentary at some point too, because a lot of them got fucked up.
That's
too.
crazy. It's one of the things that happens with these situations, like with the Me Too movement. All it took was a few different women coming forward, and the next thing you know, there's a snowball. And holy shit, it's revealed there's this enormous underlying issue that people have hidden and buried and needs to be resolved.
Yeah, and
that's what's going to happen here.
Yeah, well, that's what happened to Dan Schneider, because like people started coming out about like all the things he was doing like on set and like what he was saying to mostly like the female workers there, and just he kind of got like fucked over because not fucked over, like he
got what he deserved.
Yeah, he got what he deserved. Finally, because like these women felt like they were able to finally like speak up and say something about it. So Dan Schneider, the main guy who was kind of running the shows, I guess it sounds like the most powerful of them. Was he abusing kids too? No one ever said he was. He was pretty weird with kids. Well, one thing he did was like always ask for like a massage. So from like female coworkers and like sometimes kids, I think. But like also he's just like really up in like their personal space, and like you could like see like behind the scenes like videos and stuff. Like you could just see some of them were like really like
clenching up around him.
Yeah. But yeah, there's something else one thing that did in the documentary that you see in a lot of them is like when they're talking about like a bad person, or they're like, oh no, this person, like I thought he was like such a good guy and all that, and then they like cut to a photo of the person and like zoom in and do like that like weird like creepy music, whatever. Oh. They did that like so many times. Like it seemed like they didn't have enough like B-roll footage or like pictures and stuff, so they just like kept reusing the same stuff over and over again.
Effect.
And they just kept doing that same effect. So it was just. That was interesting to see, but I was like, oh yeah, they do that all the time.
Oh my God. But, well, fucking Nickelodeon, man. Even Nickelodeon. What a terrible story. Wild. But yeah, that documentary, Quiet on the Set, The Dark Side of Kids TV, where did you watch it?
On HBO.
Okay, so it's on Max.
Yeah.
Looks like it's also on Discovery Plus and Fubo TV, just in case anybody listening wants to go watch the whole thing. Like I said, not something I'm going to partake in. I'm probably going to read a couple more columns about it, and then that'll be it. Because I don't want to. That's such a downer, dude. That's such a downer.
And I watched it all in one night too.
Oh
so
yeah,
I was like,
you went way too deep.
almost like 3 hours of just watching horrible
That's
shit unfold.
And there's this thing that a lot of us do too. Is I apply like the Black Mirror rule for true crime stuff, which this applies. That's true crime.
Mm-hmm.
I don't do more than one episode a night because I don't want to become depressed.
Yeah.
Black Mirror will fuck you up. And watching 4 parts of a Nickelodeon child abuse doc, probably the same rule should apply, Kade.
Yeah, I probably should. Yeah,
just next time.
next time there's a
time
for the Disney one. Yeah, I'll just do one
drops,
episode a night. Yeah.
You'll know to space it out, right?
Yeah, right.
Yeah. All right. Well, I'm glad we ended on this happy note. That'll do it for today's show. Please support our sponsors by hitting the links in the description of this episode and using our dedicated codes and URLs. That is how we pay the piper here at Bolin Media. You can find links to all of the sponsors for today's episode in the description below. To check out our other shows, go to bolinmedia.com. Oysters, Clams, and Cockles is our TV and film podcast hosted by myself and Mr. Barrett Dudley, where right now we are covering Shogun from Hulu/FX. It's a great show. We're having a blast. 5 episodes through. Episode 6 dropped last night, and our episode 6 companion podcast will drop tomorrow afternoon. If you're an F1 fan, Jared Borslow, otherwise known as J-Bone, is doing his coverage of every single race all season long, which really runs for the rest of the year. I think December at some point is the last F1 race of the season. Crazy race this past weekend in Australia. Max Verstappen did not win. Believe it or not.
Didn't finish the race.
Didn't even finish the race. Craziness ensued. Go check out Formula Bone on youtube.com/@FormulaBone for J-Bone's previews and recaps of all the races all F1 season long. Formula Bone is also available on all the major podcast platforms, and follow on social media at Formula Bone. If you're a Houston sports fan, check out Banging the Can, where my most recent episode gets into the Rockets' big turnaround in the month of March, and also the Texans' free agency and offseason moves. Banging the Can, also available on all the major podcast platforms, plus youtube.com/@BangingTheCan. Follow me, Ross Bolin, on X, formerly known as Twitter, and Instagram at WRBolin. Mr. Orris, where can the people follow you?
You can follow me on all the social media platforms at Kade Orris. That's KADEORRIS.
This episode of the Ross Bolin Podcast is presented by Bolin Media. Until next time, remember, you are not alone. Peace be with you, and also with you.